You are listening to Hardly Focused.
We're Hardly Focused, Jack, Mike, and Fro. And you can get us on hardlyfocused.com. We've got our YouTube channel, hardlyfocused.com/YouTube. We were talking briefly at the beginning of this episode about the band Kraftwerk. Florian Schneider, who passed away this past week at 76. Kraftwerk, very influential on electronic music. And with Joy Division playing here in the background, Peter Hook, bassist for Joy Division and New Order, just flat out said they ripped off Kraftwerk in his eulogy to Florian Schneider. He's like, yeah, we just ripped off everything Kraftwerk was doing. Just did not hold back.
Well, you got to commend the honesty.
Hey, he's like, you guys are good enough for me to steal, so stealing it.
So that's that. Disney World obviously closed right now because of the plague that's happening, and we don't know if or when most of the Disney Worlds are going to reopen. I think if it hasn't done so already, Disney World Shanghai will be reopening because out in China,
life is less valuable. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Well, out in most of Europe, I mean, things out there, I mean, now granted, everything started out there, but a lot of things are starting to go back to normal. I know, I think like the Wuhan region is largely operational again. Even in Italy and Spain, where it was really bad, things are starting to pick up. So we're starting to very slowly return to normal, but it's obviously going to be a very long time before that actually happens. But Disney World around these parts closed indefinitely. And there's a part of Disney World that's actually been closed since 1999.
We don't talk about them parts.
What?
It's the Ravenholm of Disney World.
Does it have the random pastor running around with the shotgun?
He's just on jumping from roof to roof. Best part about Ravenholm is that's where you really get to put the gravity gun to the test, because you can pick up the saw blades and
and throw them right at him. Oh my gosh, I gotta go replay Half-Life.
If you go replay Half-Life, download it's because Valve actually made it official now, the Half-Life 2 update, which updates the graphics. It's like a full-blown graphic overhaul, and it looks, I mean, Half-Life 2 looks fantastic to begin with, but the Half-Life 2 update cranks it up a notch. And hey, lest we forget 2020, of all the negatives, we got a positive in 2020, and that is a brand new Half-Life game.
Yes, the VR one, right?
Yeah, and it did really well. I mean, you have to obviously have a VR kit to play it, but it did really, really well. And just the fact that that Valve actually buckled down and released it, I mean, that's just astounding in and of itself. But then the game itself is really good too. A landmark for virtual reality. So,
which means Half-Life 3 is on its way, 2052.
Valve said they tried. They said that they tried to do a few different iterations of Episode 3 and then Half-Life 3, and none of them worked out. They just couldn't find it, and that's why the project just never came about. But then they found out that if they did a prequel to Half-Life 2, then they actually had the ability to put together a cohesive story. So granted, yeah, we got a prequel. We didn't get anything that really moves on from Half-Life 2, Episode 2, but... now, I'll say I haven't played Half-Life Alyx. I was told that there are things that happen in the game that answer questions that were brought up in Episode 2. So even though that ends on a cliffhanger, I guess some things were resolved. I don't know. I need to scrounge up thousands of dollars to get myself a VR kit so I can play Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. I mean... I just can't imagine that. I mean, I guess I can, but like the tiny screen and some goggles and some controllers, man, how can that cost $1,000?
Yeah, right. I mean, PlayStation, they're doing it right by utilizing technology that they released in the last, 10, 15 years that never really took off, and then just bundling it with the PlayStation VR because then they can realize you can actually put it to use there. So that's why those VR kits are so cheap.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yep, because the PlayStation camera and then the PlayStation Move controllers never really had much of a use and never took off.
Yeah, that was their that was their answer to the Wii at the time, wasn't it?
The answer to the Wii and then the
Didn't
Kinect.
go anywhere.
Yeah, because then Xbox tried to connect, and that faltered. But Sony actually
less faltering than the PlayStation, though, I think.
right. Yep. So I will say with VR, the last couple times I've actually tried to play things in VR, I get motion sickness. So I don't know how I would actually do with Half-Life Alyx. I'd love to give it a try, but I don't know if I could make it more than 10 minutes without wanting to puke my brains out.
Is there like a sliding scale? Like I know the DS back in the day, you'd have ability to adjust the depth, the field of depth. Is that something you can do with the VR? Is there a way to adjust like some sort of VR setting? That way you're not like a puking bitch.
That's a really good question, and I'm not sure. With the DS, it was more like a strain on the eyes. That was a good way to give yourself a migraine.
Yeah.
I ended up just buying the 2DS because I was like, yeah, I don't need that 3D.
Yeah. Well, even Nintendo too, like got rid of when they did their most recent iteration of the DS, it was the 2DS because they're like, yeah, we don't want to do the 3D thing anymore. It was innovative, but just wasn't.
I mean, it was cool because you didn't need glasses or anything. That was like the first time I saw anything like that. But yeah, knowing that it was going to like destroy my poor eyes was kind of a deterrent.
What was cool too is with the 3DS, they couldn't really show it off in any sort of print or digital media. You actually had to have the unit in front of you to see what the 3D effect was. And it's sort of the same thing with VR. I mean, you can't really show off VR to any degree. You really actually have to put sit down, put a headset on, and really experience it for yourself. Mike,
that's very true.
Mike, do you still have that Android VR kit lying around?
Yeah, I do. And it was kind of like, got it, used it a little bit. The games weren't really, anything that wowed me. So I was like, all right,
Gotcha.
It is what it is.
Yep. It seemed very basic too.
I mean, the 3D was there. It did not give me migraines. It's just the games didn't really excite.
Gotcha.
The Android VR stuff, I think the only real use I got out of that was there was a couple of good scare games. And
porn.
There is actually 3D porn out there, just throwing that out there. But the shock game, like the jump scare ones. Oh yeah, 4K, of course. I mean, we live in good times. But those shock scare games are probably the only thing that I feel like they got good use out of VR because you couldn't see what was in your peripheral vision until you turned over there, and it was a real fright to try to turn left when you knew something might pop out at you.
Yep. Resident Evil 7, they've got that in VR, and that is just absolutely terrifying to play. I've watched friends play it before. Obviously, I wouldn't be watching the screen because you can see what's going on the TV while they're playing, but then every few minutes they would just jump up and scream and shit themselves, and I can barely handle those games traditionally with a controller and TV. I can only imagine what it's like in VR.
I never did finish that Fear game. That literally scared the shit out of me because I started playing it in the dark and I was like, nope, not happening. I just stopped playing.
Yep. Alien Isolation.
Hard no.
I don't know if it's in VR, but if Alien Isolation goes into VR, holy shit, would that be the game to play in VR? Because the environment's great, but then it's when the alien pops out of a vent and comes after you, that's just terrifying in and of itself. But it's more the aesthetic where you're just walking around and you're expecting a jump scare to happen and then it never happens. That is the that is the true selling point of that game. So anyway, Disney,
props to the developers that do it well.
Yep. Disney World, there is a section of Disney World called Discovery Island. It's been closed since 1999. according to this article from clickorlando.com, Discovery Island was a zoological attraction before Disney's Animal Kingdom Park opened. It's been closed since '99. So, it's just been left in sort of a bit of a derelict condition.
Wow. It's kind of like a pre 9/11 time capsule.
Yeah. It's like Jurassic Park. You know, they show that in the like Lost World and in the Jurassic World movies. You know, all these facilities that were just left for nature to reclaim them, and I think that's what's going on with Discovery Island. Like they make sure that, like, you know, obviously nothing's on fire, but they don't put any effort into maintaining any of the buildings or anything out there. It's just it's just this island that's part of the park that's left to be taken over. And I guess when I was there, because I'm pretty sure I took the the monorail that goes around, takes you to all the different hotels and everything, and you go by Discovery Island at one point. And a lot of folks don't realize that's what it is, because there's really nothing that jumps out. It's just, it looks like an island in the middle of a lake with a bunch of, trees and vegetation and whatnot. But if you actually go on it, then you find out it's a whole facility that has just been lying dormant for decades.
Did they close it for any particular reason? Or was it just like it's not profitable enough kind of deal?
I think option number 2. I mean, it was 1976 to 1999. So it was probably like, and it seems relatively small for a Disney park.
Yep. There were much bigger attractions out there, and this article mentions Animal Kingdom opening up, and I'd imagine a lot of the stuff that you could do at Discovery Island, you could do at Animal Kingdom, and Animal Kingdom was the bigger attraction. So a lot of the focus went there, and Disney just didn't want to. I guess they didn't want to invest in actually truly decommissioning this island, just leave everything there. But that didn't stop Florida man from breaking in and calling Discovery Island his home.
This looks like a mighty fine place to settle down.
Yep. And, I got a question coming up that I want to post to the room here. But according to clickorlando.com, man, Richard McGuire facing trespassing charges after security found him camping on Discovery Island. Deputies spent the taxpayer money to search for this man. The article says when deputies told McGuire they'd been using a loudspeaker to address him, he said he didn't hear them because he was sleeping inside one of the buildings on the island, which he referred to as a, quote, tropical paradise.
Tropical, yes. Paradise, maybe.
Paradise Lost.
I mean, it's there. I mean, it is derelict. I mean, it's not like they're upkeeping it. The jungle is taking it over again.
Yeah, just a bunch of structures that are. It doesn't really look like they're falling apart, but they're just the weeds and everything is taking them over. There are a couple of really good shots of. Just like pathways and, the ground is just covered in vines and leaves and everything. It truly looks like something out of a combination of The Last of Us and then all the stuff at the end of The Lost World, where they stumble upon the old InGen facility that's been just lying there for years. Cool shots of the big water slide that goes through the park, and there's just the trees growing through it and lying on it, and definitely not something that you want to traverse nowadays. But
are they keeping it the way it is because it's a long, like, hey, we got to prep for a movie, and it's a 30-year cycle for us to grow these things. So they've got something in the works. Wouldn't
that just be badass if this was like, hey, we're gonna close this because we want to film we have plans to film a movie here, and we need this place to look exactly the way we want it, so we need to shut down this entire park for the next couple of decades. That's some Boyhood level shit right there.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's like what's his face there, the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, doing his whole method acting thing for 5 years. And freaking everybody out when he went on Letterman. I'm a rapper now. Now it's all for a movie. I'm fine. I'm not as crazy as one might think. There are cool shots here of Discovery Island where they do have the 2 water slides coming out of the rock formation, but there's like nothing at the bottom. So if you get on those slides, you're literally just going to slide your way to death. Well, it's kind of like there's that theme park. I think that was in New Jersey or whatever that the Jackass guys.
Yes.
Yeah. The Jackass guys made the movie based off of it. It was like the most dangerous theme park ever because like the water slides, like very rarely would anyone get off those slides without some sort of injury.
Oh yeah, like the maintenance was non-existent. Things were just way shoddy or like way too dangerous.
Yep.
And it was back in, I think it was back in the 70s or 80s.
80s, I think.
It's a different time.
The slide I'm looking at was called the River Country Water Park. And yeah, the slide, it wasn't too much of a drop, but like you would literally go down the slide and then there was, you'd fall maybe like 3 feet into the pool. And nowadays there's no pool there, but the drop still exists. It might be a little bit more significant now.
It's never the fall that kills you. Sudden stop.
But the amount of like storms and hurricanes that go through this area too, I'm surprised that like this place doesn't look more derelict than it actually is.
Oh, you're right. 30 years of hurricanes.
Yeah, right? So the question for you guys, so you break into Disney World, and you have the place to yourself because the entire compound is shut down, obviously, because of the plague. Where would you go? Where would you stay? What would you take over and call home? Mike, I'll start with you.
Any of the Disneyland parks.
Any of them, yeah.
I mean, I am a huge Star Wars geek, so I'd have to go to the Galaxy's Edge and just camp out there for a little bit. And purloin most of their merch. And then other than that, I don't know. I'd say Epcot just because you could pretend that you're literally staying in a different country.
Oh yeah.
Every single night you're like, hey, I'm gonna go Sprechen Sie Deutsch over in Germany for the night, I think I'd like that.
Yeah, I posted a quick ramble about this on our YouTube channel at hardlyfocus.com/YouTube, but I said the same thing, Mike. I would go with Epcot. I find Epcot to just be badass. It looks badass. It is a relic of the early 80s, what they thought the future was going to look like, and they never really expanded upon that vision. But I would do that too. Didn't really think too much about just being able to hop between the different countries, but I love the Mexico section. The Germany and Japan sections are also really cool too. So I concur there. Fro, what about you?
Well, I'll preface this by saying I've never actually been there. But I do like this guy's moxie for going for the island. And I feel like I might choose the same thing because it's easy to hide on an island. Nobody's going to be regularly patrolling there. And I don't know how he managed to get seen, but I would stay towards the middle and avoid the perimeter where I might be visible to outside tourists and such.
Yeah,
and I feel like, I mean, I'm looking at this like map now, like there's a lot of nice little sections over there. I mean, you could, sure, I wouldn't slide on the water slide, but that's like a nice little highway above the foliage. You know what I mean? Like you could just walk on that and be like, now I don't have to worry about walking on all these shrubberies. It's doable.
Yeah.
I'd probably build a small boat so that way I could go back and forth during the night. Because nighttime's obviously the only time you can travel to get, supplies from the mainland 7-Eleven.
Right. Yeah, it's not like any of the, obviously any of the stores. Even Disney Springs, I don't even think is open. Yeah, you're also, Fro, you're more versed in both survivalism and, camping. And I don't think this guy really was. So you would know what to do to, maintain a low profile. But at the same time, I mean, it's Disney. I mean, you got to only imagine like what their security and what their, police presence is. It's
probably have retinal scanners still active on that damn island.
Yeah, I mean, they might, but I feel like the island would be the one place where they're at least, foot patrols can't just get there. You need like a ferry or a boat. So like, and I'd probably see or hear that, so I could like go into my little underground bunker that I've been digging for a little while, assuming that I've been on this island for a little bit.
When they reopen it in 10 years for the movie, you come out and you're like, I'm the star of the show now. All right.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be something? They have it on a movie. I just like crawl out of a bush in the middle of a scene.
Fro enacts his squatters' rights.
I've been here for 7 years. It's legal in my territory.
You're the homeless guy from that Hey Arnold episode on the subway. You're just, get out of my house.
You breathe in my air.
So you go by like one of the shacks, like one of the buildings that looks derelict from the outside, and you open it up and it's like pristine on the inside. Everything's new. It's renovated, fresh floors, cabinets.
New IKEA furniture.
IKEA stuff, yes. Yeah. Post office has been delivering here for years. I don't know why you guys didn't notice.
And you got to pull
Amazon airdrops.
You got to do the Robert Hansen when you get caught. And you just got to smile as all the security and police converge on you and just go, what took you guys so long?
That'd be a smiling mugshot for sure.
Yep. Epcot too. I don't know if you guys ever did the research on Epcot, but originally before it became the what it is today, it was supposed to literally be a planned community of Walt Disney's vision of the future, where people would live and
without Jews.
Yep, and it would. It was supposed to be the epicenter of technology. It was where all of the future technologies would originate from, kind of like what Silicon Valley is now, but it'd be all under Disney. And the vision, obviously. Well, Disney died like maybe a year after he proposed it. And then it just what his vision was obviously was never realized. And we've got the watered down version of it in the current form of Epcot,
or the beard up version of it. Thank you very much. Alcohol,
dude. Germany is my favorite area for the food for obvious reasons, because you get the stein of alcohol of the Hefeweizens and the giant pretzels, and that's where I was a couple years ago at Disney. The only time actually at Epcot when I was outside when it started pouring rain, and I was just sitting there just nursing my stein, enjoying my pretzel while it downpoured for 30 seconds.
Well, and now that they added 2 more countries, it's a lot harder to do around the world with alcohol.
What are the other 2 countries?
No, didn't they add, wasn't Norway not one of the original ones or something like that?
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it started with 9, now they're up to 11, right?
Yeah, it's also not something that I recommend you try to do in one day. The walk around the world, it is tough. You lose steam very quickly, especially if you're just eating and drinking the whole time.
That sounds like a challenge.
Got some good poutine though from France or Canada rather, and then whatever. They all speak the same language.
Merde.
In Japan, Fro, when you and I took our last trek to that sea, you tried the ramune soda with the, you got to fucking perform an operation on it just to get the bottle open.
Yes, the little marble that you have to smash down, and they tell you not to try to take it out because you'll choke and die.
Yep. But that's the first place I tried ramune was Japan in Epcot, and
nice.
Made a fool out of myself trying to get the goddamn marble into the bottle. Mike, have you had that stuff before?
Like a preemptive thing for that, so that actually helped me. You're like, no, dude, you really gotta smash that thing down. Like I was gonna just try to press it with my thumb, so now I know.
Yeah, the second time I ever tried ramune, I did it right, but the first time it was a bit embarrassing. Mike, have you tried that stuff?
I have not. No.
Next time you go to the supermarket, if you look in the international section, they usually have it, and you can buy it. But it's
actually pretty tasty.
Yeah, it's pure sugar, but it's a thing they do out in Japan. It's how they keep the soda fresh is this crazy method of jamming a marble into the bottle so you can get the perfect flavor and carbonation out of it. So that's it. That's all I had for today. Anything else you guys want to? Oh God! Oh no! I'm not on a conference call right now. Shit. That's how I end all of my conference calls. At work. Anything else you guys want to chat about?
Well,
Wow.
I'd like to discuss the parking on the street. There seems to be some hooligans who think they can just park for more than 2 hours in the greater suburb area.
Riffraff.
I shake my fist at them regularly.
Shake harder, boy. Cool. Well, we can leave it at that then. I'm sorry that I pulled a Zoom call on you.
Wow. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Mike, Fro, thank you for being here. Fro, the mic sounds good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it all.
Yeah. And Mike, enjoy the rest of the weekend with your spawnlings.
Yes, they'll be running and crawling around.
Likewise to you, Fro, with your several children.
Yes, indeed. I'm teaching them how to climb on walls as we speak.
Nice.
The key is to use the entire glue stick on your palms, and then you can climb the walls.
There you go. All right. Hey, one time I huffed at work. I huffed Gorilla Glue, and that was a mistake because some of it got in my nostril.
They say he still only has one open nostril to this day.
Yeah, I made some mistakes. That was pretty dumb of me. So, all right. With that, we will talk at you next time. See you. Bye.
Well, that's it. My old friend Duke Steve is standing by. We'll get some coffee. We'll get some matzo ball soup.
This podcast is Hardly Focused.
I love the San Antonio Spurs, by the way. If you're betting in the NBA this year, I think they're going to win it all.
Get Hardly Focused on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
So I guess there's nothing more to say but...